Players young and old are struggling. We'll talk about that and more coming up on the Friday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Clay Link of RotoWire.com, here with my co-host, FSWA Hall of Famer Todd Zola. Always a pleasure, Todd. And baseball is such an incredibly difficult game. And we've seen Jackson Holiday come up, have some issues. We saw Jack Leiter come up and struggle yesterday. And it's just not easy. Not easy to get acclimated. I was actually surprised Jack Leiter not picked up in the RotoWire Stake League. I did give up, 8 hits and 3 walks over 3 2/3. And I know James Anderson isn't all that high on him. He has him outside of the top 200 on his top 400 list, but it doesn't seem like Jack Leiter is carrying a whole lot of hype. And what hype there was dinged quite a bit yesterday.
Your bids were in after, or at least they were due after the game, right? So
yep.
You got a chance to the free look, as they call it in the NFBC.
Yeah,
and you don't have
a chance,
and you don't have to start the guy like we do in Totewood, right?
No, yeah.
So it's and the player has to be active on an MLB roster to be bid. No, you can bid on minor leaguers, right?
Yeah, you can pick up.
Yeah, okay. So
I was a little surprised. I didn't have a bid on him, but I thought somebody would.
I guess if he wasn't already stashed, the start certainly isn't going to convince you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it. I want to go back and fortunately, there's not a lot of games to go back and look at from yesterday, the things I wanted to check out, especially because there was one fewer game than expected. But I wanted to take a little, not that my eyes can pick out that much, but it was, was the jitters? Was he getting squeezed? Was he just throwing meatballs? It sounds like he was just throwing meatballs.
Well, I did see one clip of, it looked like maybe he was let down a little bit by his outfielder on one that maybe could have been charged in error. But either way, 8 base runners or 8 hits and 3 walks, 11 base runners and 3 2/3. That's pretty rough no matter how you slice it. And on the old side of the things, as I said at the top, we were talking a little bit before the show online just about the struggles of Jose Abreu so far this season. It's I can't remember such a lot of players struggle, over small samples, but a negative 21 WRC plus, almost a full negative win, below replacement. So far for Jose Abreu, maybe nearing the end of the line for him.
Well, the oddity, and this is part of what we were discussing, was, if you recall, he actually, the problem, he wasn't lifting the ball last year, and he didn't hit a home run till like middle of the year, but he was hitting homers down the stretch and in the playoffs. So he was sort of, there's a lot of corner infielders. I'm going to grab him late and grab somebody else, Lamont Wade or whatever, someone else late, and figure out which one of them's hitting and use that guy. I'm not using Abreu. And his exit velocity, it hasn't just dipped, it's cratered. It's like
bottom 1% of the league.
Right. And 3 miles an hour, all right. If the speed limit's 62 or 65 and I'm going 60, 68, I'm not going to get caught 3 miles an hour. But in exit velocity, 9, whatever it was, it's 89 to 90 down to 86, 87 is huge. So
that's true. Every mile per hour makes such a big difference when we're talking pitching performance.
Well, even exit velocity, definitely for pitching.
Well, yeah, for pitching,
they do more research in pitching, but on batting, especially too. And if this is a younger player, wouldn't we be talking about he must be hurt, losing 3 miles an hour? So
yeah,
and
I've seen him make a couple bad plays in the field. I think he only has 2 errors, but some really iffy plays in the field too.
And if Jonathan Singleton is the answer, I don't want to know the question. So this all came up because you were suggesting we give Joey Liperfito a bit of a bump in the in our projections to at least have him appear on our My Leagues feature, which is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
So,
shout out to our tech team on that.
Oh man, yeah. So, and I agree. We should at least have, let the name get out there, and then let users decide. Well, he's going to come up tomorrow. He's not going to come up till mid-season, whatever. But I mean, how long can the Astros afford to take a 0 out of first base? Bregman's not hitting. Alex Bregman's not hitting. Chas McCormick's not hitting. Kyle Tucker, he's hitting. He's not terrible, but he's not. Well, look at the guy I expected, but the guy most expected. And with their pitching, then the Astros need to outscore you to win. How long he deserves a leash. I mean, Dusty Baker's would have been till the All-Star break, but it's no longer Dusty Baker, right?
That's true.
So I understand. I like the Joey Liperfito call. He's crushing it in the minors.
Yeah, playing a little bit of first base. So you mentioned Singleton, but maybe it's Liperfito who gets a chance there. And he already has 10 homers in the minors, and a lot of swing and miss there. But I think they're dead last in that division. I think they're behind the A's right now.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's kind of crazy. So yeah,
it's not all the pitching. I mean, I wrote about Ronel Blanco a little bit for ESPN today. I'm giving up. Start him, guys. Start him. I don't care about the 8.8 K minus BB anymore. I don't care about the 4.5 to 5 Sierra and XFIP. You guys are right. He deserves to be in your lineup.
Well, the top pick up in the RotoWire Stake League last night was Kirby Yates at 39.
Here we go.
And manager Bruce Bochy of the Rangers said that they're going to move Jose Leclerc. It's a low leverage for now, temporarily until he gets right. Do you see this being permanent, or do you think that maybe they will revisit Leclerc in that role down the line?
It took all of one game to go from we're using him in low leverage to using him in a 1-0 game to pitch the 6th and the 7th. So
that's not really low leverage.
No, who was it started? I forget who started the game. But then Robertson and Yates came in to finish it out. So the whole low leverage thing didn't last very long. I don't know. I mean, both Robertson and Yates are going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be, I don't say on merit, but both those guys, I don't think either guy is going to pitch well enough to deserve to be taken out. But Leclerc still is probably, his stuff is probably still best suited if he can keep it under control. I don't know. That's a really tough call because the Rangers, they want to repeat. They don't owe Leclerc anything. But if he does turn it around, it's kind of hard not to put him back there and not have them kind of go against their word or look disingenuous to the rest of the team, I suppose. So
I suppose, although it doesn't,
not giving up Yates.
Doesn't lock you into anything. Like you don't have to return him to the 9th.
This is I don't know if this is a feature or a bug of fantasy baseball analysis. We're not looking at numbers. We're trying to, and I think it's fun. It's not a bug. It's a feature that we get. We don't need to look at StatCast to have this discussion. And any two people that play fantasy can have this discussion. And who's right? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Bochy was kind of offering a little bit of coach speak, if you will, by saying, leaving the door open for Leclerc to maybe return to the 9th. But I think this price makes some sense, especially given this is 3 straight weeks where the closers led the board, I think, with James MacArthur the week prior. And maybe it was 2 weeks before that I got Jason Foley. So this was about what the top, the big closers are going for, about 40% of the budget right now. Jose Butto, Todd, Carlos Mendoza, the Mets confirmed that Butto will be sticking around. Tough draw this weekend in the Dodgers, but everything for Butto is working right now. It's pretty crazy. He has a 62.5% whiff rate on his slider, which is just nuts. His changeup and four-seam are also getting a lot of whiffs. So, again, they're saying he's going to stick around. So, Butto, I think, makes for a nice addition. I was off, I think, by only $1 here. He goes for 12, Jose Butto.
All right, so people, why are you going to be high on Butto but not on Blanco? Well, Butto struck out 15 guys in 12 innings. I know it's a short sample, etc., but I'm more impressed by that than I am with Blanco inducing a 118 BABIP, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you on Butto. I like the Mets. I like the context. City Field. Their offense isn't there yet, but they're showing signs. I think Brett Beatty hit a ball the other day, which is more than we could say the previous week. I mean, they are showing a little bit of signs of getting it together. So I'm with you on Butto. Hey, the Dodgers aren't infallible. They were shut out this week. I don't know that they'll be shut out again for another month and a half, but they were shut out this week.
Yeah, you could get him on the right day. He makes for a tough call, but
Yeah.
I think in the long term he could be a nice little addition who maybe moves the needle a little bit for fantasy managers. I'm a little skeptical about Andy Pajes doing that for managers. I only had a $1 or $2 bid. He goes for 11 here. Now I get that there's some appeal to authority there with the Dodgers, but just not a prospect that I really saw a ton in. I think he had a few Ks in his debut. Just one game. But do you think the Dodgers are going to give him some runway here?
This is sort of a James Outman isn't playing up to capability move, right? I would think Outman is below the Mendoza line. He does have a couple homers and a steal, but he hasn't shown the potential, or hasn't showed the potential last year, especially in the playoffs. It hasn't come to fruition. Say the same thing about Evan Carter, the Rangers, and I have both of them in a lot of teams, and I'm not doing so good right now. But it's not about me. I'm with you. I think it's a matter of before Outman gets it back together again, and I think we'll see Pajes maybe back on the farm or in a reserve role. Now, the Dodgers just ended up trading Taylor Trammell to the Yankees, so that kind of at least cleared the roster spot. They waived him, designated him, and then ended up trading him to the Yankees. So that I don't know if he's so much replacing Trammell, if you will. But
I think Jason Hayward's out for a while longer, and I like Chris Taylor's really struggled.
Yeah.
So we'll see about Pajes, but I think with Hayward out, they can shuffle things around and get Pajes some at bats. And he struck out 4 times through 2 games so far. It was mentioned in the chat here that he tore it up in the spring.
And you're right. Outman is still playing. It's It's more about Hayward, and wasn't there some I don't call it bad news, but there was a setback this week, I believe, with Hayward.
I don't know if it was necessarily a setback, but still experiencing soreness. So I would say that is qualified as a setback.
Right, whether it's a technical setback or not healing as fast as hoped. He's not coming back as fast as we hoped.
What about Wilyer Abreu? He was the guy that I actually dropped, and then James swooped in, picks him up for 10 here. Strong side of a platoon there in Boston. Is that what's on the docket for Wilyer Abreu?
Yeah, James. This is now I know why James was asking about him at XM today. Abreu kind of fell out of favor. Well, I don't fell out of favor, but was a victim of the numbers game to open the season. But a bunch of injuries
for him too.
Right.
A lot of strikeouts in the spring.
A lot of strikeouts, which is part of his game regardless. But when he hits the balls, really, injuries have opened up a spot for again back to being the strong side of the platoon. Defensively, he's made a couple mental errors. He hasn't been bad, and this is on the worst defensive team in the league. It's just play. I don't know if you get this. It's terrible. The Reds they're just terrible.
I've heard. I haven't really seen much, but on Twitter I see a lot about that.
At this point, you don't get mad, you just laugh. it's to that point. Anyway, and this is a team that was supposed to be better, and it's more than just Trevor Story. I don't know what or the lack of Trevor Story, I should say. It's just ugly. But anyway, I still have some level of confidence in Wilyer Abreu. It was interesting. The guys posed to me, which Abreu, Jose or Wilyer, do you want the rest of the year?
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I went with Willier because I'm assuming that if the question is who do you want your lineup every day for the rest of the year, I probably would still go Jose. But first of all, if he continues to stink, he's out of the lineup, and I no longer have to have him in my lineup. But I think at this point you go for the upside, and I think Willier still has more upside. I think he's going to be in the platoon now that Rob Refsnyder's back. I think we are going to see a strict left-right platoon with Willier Abreu. But he wasn't. I mean, he's not a top prospect, and with so many good prospects now, I think sometimes we lump every prospect is good. Well, no, not every prospect isn't as good, and he's a good prospect, but he wasn't great. I don't think anyway. So,
but yes, maybe something there with the.
I think there might be something there.
Yeah, I mean, he had a nice run in a small sample down the stretch last year, so
yeah.
I mean, small sample caveats apply all around with last year and spring training and even this year, but there may be something there.
He's running, which is interesting too. Abreu has 4 stolen bases so far, and the Red Sox are running. One of those just kind of a Jason Collette thing. Teams that are running now are going to continue to run, and the Red Sox are running. So amongst other teams.
Well, a guy who runs a lot, and I'm kind of wondering why there's not more buzz around this guy, Jonatan Clase, picked up for $7 by RotoWire president Peter Shanky. So, yeah, I mean, this guy stole almost 80 bags in the minors last year. Not only that, Jonatan Clase hit 20 homers last year between high A and double A. Now, he only hit 242. And I've kind of, I got burned again by by a guy like Victor Scott. But is there enough pop here with Jonatan Clase, the Mariners, that you're interested?
So he's a switch hitter, right? And it's Dominic Canzone who's out now. And Mitch Haniger is slumping.
Canzone is out.
Right? Canzone is out, and Mitch Haniger is slumping. He wasn't on my radar, Clase, but then I only have so many radars, and minor leaguers is one of the lower ones, so I don't know that he would be. But I don't ever remember considering him in a dynasty draft or in a rookie
I'm
draft.
Looking at where James has him. He has him 217 on the 400, so he's not
a switch hitter who can run.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's sitting low in the order, but you still steal when you're low in the order. So I don't think I'm going to hold that against him. I think if you need steals, it's not a bad play, but I think the Mariners would like Canzone. I think they want to give him a real shot to see what they have. And you always have Luke Raley as a fallback. It's kind of they're doing what I do in fantasy is you take the upside shot late, and then if it doesn't work out, you got Luke Raley. So they kind of have that going on.
Well, they're coming off a sweep of the Reds. The Reds at least swept the White Sox before that, so they split the road trip at least. But yeah, it looks like Jonatan Clase will get a little run here. Power, speed, kind of interesting. I picked up Jake Irvin for $5. I had another starter hit the injured list. Now, Jake Irvin's got a tough draw coming up against the Dodgers, but he just pitched really well against those Dodgers. And, overall, pretty impressive body of work this season. His K rate's not going to blow you away, but it's actually up almost 4 percentage points. And, really doing well to limit base hits right now. And just a guy that I feel like with this organization, you got to keep pitching him every 5th day to see what you have in this guy. So I expect the results to tail off a bit, but a guy that I, at least can probably get volume out of, and maybe some latent upside.
All right. So my reaction when you first said his name was because I just wrote a piece. It's now posted rotowire.com/free for those that want to read it, about my internal battle between not making a move until I have tangible evidence versus if I don't do it, somebody else will. Or, you know what? In a small sample, he showed this, and I'm going to trust it, even though there's no evidence to trust it. I'm just struggling with that. And that's not the purpose of this conversation. But Irvin was one of the reasons that sort of instigated the piece. You said he did well against the Dodgers. So I took a look at his velocity and pitch mix compared to last year, and his velocity increased by month last year, and he's already at the point now where he was in August. So, all right, now I don't know what it means, but all right,
throwing harder at this stage of the season,
right? So,
like,
but
good to see.
is there a study that shows that's I no, but it's one of those things. I'm not wired to do this, but you know what? Let's take a chance on Jake Irvin, because what if it's true? All right, it's not true 9 times, but the one time you look like a genius. That's the part I have trouble in my head, and probably why I always finish between 4th and 7th in leagues, because that's my style, right? That's good in a cash game. All you need to do is finish the upper half. Tutwars could care less if you finish in the upper half, unless you finish number 1. So it's just something I have to get over. But anyway, the point being, I'm with you in the taking the chance. At least the risky part of me is because he is showing something, and he's throwing. I think he's throwing a slider more.
He's introduced like a cut fastball that he's throwing to lefties. Hasn't had a ton of success there, but everything else is playing really well right now.
Right. So again, there's a reason. I just can't show you an article that says every pitcher that does this continues to have success.
Yeah, I think Jake Irvin was on our 2-start list a few weeks ago, and I didn't have any interest, but he keeps showing something. Providing some good innings every 5th day for Washington.
We're watching Gore. We're watching Josiah Gray. We're watching one disabled us now. Irvin's kind of gone under the radar.
Yeah, totally. And I mentioned I lost another starter, so now, and this is maybe why you don't stash at the start of the season, because now I just have a full bench full of injured guys. But I have Framber Valdez, Garrett Whitlock, Brian Wu on my bench. So I needed an arm to just start. And, maybe a little upside. Also, we talked about Joey Loper Fido. I had stashed him, so I got a stashing problem. But look, I have Josh Lowe coming back soon, and hopefully JD Martinez coming back soon. So injuries are the
hopefully a couple of those pitchers coming back soon.
Yeah. Hopefully Valdez, and it sounds like Whitlock may not miss too much more than the minimum.
Yeah, that would
maybe
be nice.
Brian Wu back soon too.
I think all 3 of them are at least on the way, right? Okay.
Yeah, and Josh Lowe was supposed to start a rehab assignment yesterday. I think he got rained out, but I got 5 injured guys on my bench, so that's can justify dropping any of them. I did drop TJ Friedel. Didn't have a setback, but he just needs a little more time to have that bone heal, and some of the other injured guys, I just could not continue to. But yeah, your bench. It has taken only a few weeks for my benches across all leagues to
the best laid plans
fill up with injured guys. Also, Orion Kirkering picked up for 4. Thought I'd mention because he's in a kind of an exciting young arm, and people thinking he could close in time for those Phillies. All right. Well, before we get to 2-star pitchers, let me take care of a little piece of business here. Knock out these words from our sponsors, and we will get back to the fantasy baseball discussion. Baseball is back, and this MLB season, knock it out of the park with Vivid Seats and score great tickets to the biggest games of the year. Every fastball, every home run, and every eye-popping play of your favorite team, live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you can earn rewards with every single purchase. Just buy 10 tickets, then cash in your credit toward your free 11th ticket. Talk about an easy win, and here's a pro reward tip. When you're buying tickets for your whole group, split the bill and make progress toward your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the dugout to the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2024 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. Visit vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. Also, a word from On Demand DFS. Do you ever think back to the golden days of fantasy football? When it was all about the love of the game, the camaraderie, and yes, the bragging rights. Well, our friends at On Demand DFS are bringing those days back with their revolutionary app that's changing the game for fantasy fans everywhere. Gone are the days of confusing entry fees, playing against unknown masses, or juggling multiple apps to talk trash to your league mates, On Demand DFS is here to streamline your fantasy football experience, making it more about strategy, fun, and most importantly, the community. With On Demand DFS, you can create a contest in seconds, invite your friends, and you're off to the races. No entry fees, no gimmicks, just pure fantasy football bliss. And here's the kicker. You're not limited to current season players. Imagine crafting your dream lineup from over 5,000 NFL legends and today's stars using real historical data to simulate the action. And for those who hate the wait, you'll love turbo mode. Contest wrap up in minutes, not hours, keeping the excitement going all week long. Download the On Demand DFS app now and get started with a 30-day free trial. Dive into a fantasy football experience that's rich in history, strategy, and most importantly, fun. It's time to create your legacy with the ultimate lineup of legends and live out your fantasy football dreams like never before. We appreciate their sponsorship, Todd, and let's get on to the two-start pitchers next week. I think Brandon Pfaadt is going to kick things off for us. Definitely check out the projected starters tool for yourself. I have to get it back up here, so just 1 second. But where are you at tentatively on Brandon Pfaadt, Todd?
I think he settled into, the playoff Pfaadt and the one that was just terrible heading into the season. I think, we're seeing the high ERA, but the whip's down a little bit. It's going to get better from here. 23-3 walk, strikeout to walk, and 23 2/3. You like that, but 4 homers. And homers is an issue, right? It kind of has been. At St. Louis, at Seattle, I'm going to go 3. I don't think homers will be as much of an issue.
Nice. Yeah. At Seattle, or at St. Louis, at Seattle, seems like the week to use them, if there ever was one. I mean, Seattle maybe turning it on a little bit, but for whatever reason, the guy who makes everything go there in Seattle, Julio Rodriguez, is just not looking like himself quite yet. Reynaldo Lopez making the transition to the starting rotation look easy. 2-0 with a 0.50 ERA. He's got Miami and then Cleveland, both at home. This could be a little bit of a trap, but because it is, we've seen Reynaldo Lopez for years now, but I think I'm going to go 3 because of the matchups and what he's shown. I feel good about a 3 on Reynaldo. What about you?
I mean, I was actually considering 4, but Cleveland, they're kind of a grinder,
Yeah, they kind of sneaky.
But the Braves have lively up day, at least if things hold true. I am going to go 4 because I like, you got to think Atlanta's going to be favored. And they've got a good bullpen. So I'm going to go 4. My rankings may say 3, but I'm going to go 4.
Okay, I'll get you down as a 4.
I'm
Reynaldo.
I think we're at the point where we do need to start rolling in what we've seen 3 or 4 starts.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can start applying some of what we've seen a little bit anyway. We don't have to be so strict to our, because if we see 3 good starts in the middle of the season, I think we start to, we like that. So I think we need to start thinking about changing initial opinions a little bit. And this is when at least my projection engine, it does after 3 starts is when it will start to capture some of the production.
Yeah, it's not a totally meaningless sample. I think you're right to do that. I think, while we won't want to draw any like sweeping conclusions, you may want to buy into certain things you see through the sample so far this season. Grayson Rodriguez is going to be a 5, right?
Oh yeah.
And now here's one that's kind of tying back to what you just said is Tanner Houck, who's been just awesome through that. Was it like how many hits did he allow? 3-hitter, complete game shutout, 9 shutout. Is he a guy that you're changing baseline expectations for?
He's been so good, it's happening automatically.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let, at least for now, I'm gonna let the system take care of it. Because I think it's done enough so far to have it justify it. But it may be that I would maybe a little higher on how coming in, maybe a little bit. I mean, I'm going to give him a 5. I gave him a 6 a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, did it tongue in cheek, but I'm going to give him a 5 now.
Yeah.
I don't hate Cleveland and Chicago. All right, they're not great matchups, but neither are scary. And Houck is one of the few Red Sox pitchers that hasn't changed their repertoire under Andrew Bailey, but he's just honed the control and honed the command. And if you saw any of that game, he looked like he could have pitched another 9 innings.
That's wild, man. Because
it was a Maddox, But
he spent so much time in the bullpen and bouncing between the bullpen and rotation. For him to make it look that easy is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Well, I got a 4, but I got you down as a 5.
That's fine.
Jordan Wicks.
This is
the lefty. He's going to face home against the Astros and at Boston. I'm kind of interested to see what they do with Ben Brown because I'm presuming he's available out of the bullpen this weekend, and maybe he's sent down if he pitches. But man, Kyle Hendricks has been historically bad for that Cubs team so far. So kind of wondering if he's on thin ice. But Jordan Wicks versus Houston at Boston.
Hasn't gone 5 innings yet.
Yeah, I don't love it. Is he 1?
I mean, I think a 0 is justified. He hasn't pitched 5 innings yet, and he's got 2 pretty good offenses. On paper, 2 pretty good offenses that he's going to be facing. Houston's not tearing it up, and Boston's up and down. All right, I'll go 1, but I don't love it. I was in a draft. I think I mentioned. I don't remember where Jordan Wicks went for a lot in an auction, a lot more than Jordan Hicks, and I was wondering if the person that got the names mixed up, but no, whoever they wanted Wicks. So, anyway. So.
Well, we've seen actually a number of guys make that transition look kind of easy. Ronaldo Lopez, who we mentioned. Garrett Crochet and Jordan Hicks. It's you see a lot of guys really struggle with that. AJ Puck is one who on the other side of the coin.
Continuing to struggle.
Yeah, is he today?
Yeah, gave up a couple runs early.
Of course. All right. Well, Hunter Green has been a little disappointing. Andrew Abbott, on the other hand, has been pretty solid, and they've kept him in their rotation and moved Nick Martinez to a long relief role. So Abbott's got some more leash here. Hunter Green is tough versus the Phillies at Texas. I knew there would still be some ups and downs. That fastball, as good as it is, major league hitters, if you're throwing that so much, they could sit on it and turn on it. So I think I'm going to go 3 here on Green. And actually probably only a 2 on Abbott personally because I could see some regression here. But, I could see if you want to start Abbott. I have a little bit of trepidation. He's been great so far. Home against the Phillies and at Texas. Kind of a tough 2-step.
Yeah, I think in points leagues you start Green because the strikeouts are so important. And he is, 2 of the 3 games he's gone fairly, 6 innings. The other 2 he hasn't. I'm gonna go 3 as well. He just needs to. He's not giving up homers. He just needs to cut down on those walks. And 9 and 20 innings. It's not egregious, but it's not great either. So I'll go 3.
Frustrating watching him because you see the upside, but he kind of nibbles and sometimes just doesn't have it.
It's not a perfect analogy other than the fastball not getting strikeouts. But remember Nathan Eovaldi early in his career. Now, Eovaldi had better control. But everyone's like, he throws 100 and he doesn't get any swing and misses. Well, that's because batters were comfortable that they weren't going to get hit with the pitch and they could stand in the batter's box and contact. Eovaldi had to develop some wrinkles before he was able to generate more strikeouts. Maybe Green's effectively wild. I don't know. But it's not that effective yet.
Yeah, and maybe he gets his first win here this week, but the Phillies at home always scares me. Phillies in Cincinnati.
You know what? I bet you Abbott's pitched better than I'm remembering in the past couple games. Not really. I'm sticking with a 1. He hasn't given up a lot of runs. He's going deep into games though. All right. What did you say? A 2?
I said a 2 on Abbott. What do you say on Green?
I'm going 3. I may join you with a 2.
Okay.
I don't like it. I'm going to go 2. He's going far enough into games that I'm going to go with a 2.
Right on. Well, for Cleveland, Ben Lively stepped into that rotation.
Really?
Did strike out 7, but gave up a homer and 3 hits, a walk, 2 earned runs. I'm going to go 0. Kind of got some crazy news on Tristan McKenzie that I saw. I'm going to have to get somebody to grab that. But this rotation is kind of in flux. Who do they got coming back here somewhat soon?
But you mentioned Gavin the strikeouts.
Williams?
Yeah.
Gavin.
You mentioned the strikeouts. You could strike out a batter inning against the Red Sox at this point. It's weird. For years watching the team not strike out, now it's just everybody's striking out. Williams coming back is going to help. Carrasco is pitching better than I thought. I'm going to go a 0 for Lively as well. I mean, I know he did pitch well against Red Sox last time out, but it's still Ben Lively.
Yeah, I can't justify that dice roll. Just give me 1 second here, by the way. All right. So we will recap these grades, of course, once everything's said and done. All right. Next up, Austin Gomber is going to be a 0.
He's at home. Then does it really matter? I guess. Yeah, home for 2 games. San Diego and Houston. That's a 0.
Yeah, that's got to be a 0. All right. Continuing on, 2-star pitchers for the week of April 22nd. Chris Flexen, another guy that's going to have to be a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still squint and see something there, but I'm gonna say 0.
Yeah, really, really pitching uphill. Maybe you pick up Nick Nastrini if you're really desperate.
Maybe.
He was at the very bottom of my waterfall, if you will, last night. Tariq Skubal is going to be a 5 at Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. I mean, he's pretty much a 5 no matter what. And Kansas City not looking like a pushover offensively anymore. But I still think Skubal's a 5.
Right. I mean, KC went out and it's not a fluke, I don't think. I think people think it is. But KC went out and made – no, all right, Carlos Santana is not hitting like Carlos Santana, and he's one of the guys they picked up. But I think KC intended to do what they're doing. They're just having a couple other guys step up. In a time of disappointing pitchers, be it injury or otherwise, Tariq Skubal's done what we've asked, right? He's come through.
Yeah. I had so many, injury and innings concerns with him, and when you know it, he's been a workhorse.
So far.
Still on the mound so far. Still very early, but so many of those guys have fallen.
No, I mean, to put it in, yes, he's a 5.
Mm. All right. Now here's the guy. Well, because Houston doesn't have any 2-star pitchers, they're welcoming Justin Verlander back tonight, and then 2 off days next week. This is a guy we've been down this road on so many times over the years. Brady Singer, and he's back back to relevance here in mixed leagues with a 1.54 ERA versus Toronto at Detroit. Where do you land on Brady Singer?
It's weird. He's given up 4 earned runs. He's given up 3 home runs. Let's some back of the envelope math there. See what
is he facing? Mike Trout every?
Yeah, exactly. Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, no kidding.
So 2 of those games against the White Sox and Minnesota, Houston. I think Brady Singer is improved. I'm clearly not going to hold up a 1.54 ERA. Let's put that clip in for podcast of the year, right? I'm still optimistic, but then I've been optimistic. Toronto and Detroit. Is a 3 optimistic? Probably not, but I'll go 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I mean,
leaning three.
three's what we expect. 4 is optimistic. I think 3's fair.
Yeah, I don't feel as confident about Michael Waka, but maybe you consider him if you're looking for a 2-star pitcher. I mean, he's been capable so far. He's not going to be as high as Singer for me, and I think I may only go 1. But in desperate times, call for desperate measures, and I could see it in a certain league.
Waka continues to outpitch his peripherals, which he's done now for 2, and then this year. What did I say about Regression Monster and Lady Luck meeting at some point?
Yeah,
but it hasn't happened yet, and
that should be the next Godzilla movie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go 2.
Lady Luck and the Regression Monster on top of the Eiffel Tower. We'll see, but yeah. So what do you say in Waka? Sorry,
I'm gonna go 2.
2. Okay, I only had 1, but I'll get you down.
Yeah,
2.
Go 2.
And then next up, we got Reed Detmers, who's really pitching well. Surprisingly for me, I mean, I always saw something there, but he's 3-0 with a 1.19 ERA versus Baltimore versus Minnesota. 2 at home. Man, I mean, he's not a 5 for me, but I think I may go 4 here, even with Baltimore.
30 strikeouts, 7 walks, and 22 2/3. We knew one of the Angels pitchers was gonna emerge. We just didn't know which one. Looks like it's Detmers. I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah, it's Tyler Anderson's pitching well also, and I keep hearing about Jose Soriano. He's been wild, but he's been pumping gas.
Well, that's his MO.
Yeah, but the results haven't been stellar so far, but I keep hearing about Soriano. So, as bad as everybody expected that situation to be, they've actually held their own so far as a team, the Angels. Having Mike Trout be healthy is huge, and he's actually running, which is a big surprise.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, no 2-star pitchers for them, but then Ryan Weathers, surprisingly effective so far, but he's got to go to Atlanta, home against Washington. Where you landed on Ryan Weathers this week?
Oh, not high. Are we even sure? Isn't Braxton Garrett due back? Oh, did he have a setback?
I think.
Oh, dead arm.
Yeah, he had a dead arm period.
All right. Okay, so at least it looks like at least another week before Braxton Garrett comes back.
And AJ Buck might get the bump, but
yeah, and it's not like I have Garrett on all my teams either. Well, not all of them. I have an AL only team. It's at Atlanta. No, you know what? I'm going 0. I can't trust the Atlanta start.
I'm going 1 because he has looked a lot better, but I totally see if you want to play it safe. And
there's pedigree, but it never really manifested. But it was there. I'm going to go 0.
I think I'm going to go 0 on both Joe Ross and Wade Miley of the Brewers at Pitt, but then home against the Yankees. I don't know how the Brewers do it. And, DL Hall hasn't even been very good so far, but Joe Ross and Wade Miley are just too volatile, too much downside for me.
I took a chance on Ross, and it looks like I chose poorly.
Let's see.
Brides have had better success with Ross on Friends than I did. I didn't watch Friends. Yeah, I didn't watch Friends when it was on, but I've kind of been binging it at night. I just, after I'd wind down, baseball's over so early.
Yeah, games are so short now.
I'm looking for something kind of light that if I happen to fall asleep, it's not a big deal if I didn't watch the end. And kind of Friends fits that. So I've been watching Friends. Anyway, I'm still gonna Yankees. I'm gonna go 1 with Ross, and I'm gonna go 1 on both, and I'm gonna bite my tongue doing it.
All right. Well, they'll probably they'll be decent, but I can't risk it. What about Chris Paddock? Is he a drop? I'm thinking, given how much he's struggled so far this season, does get the White Sox at home and the Angels. If you're not going to use him, he's a drop. I'm going to go 1, but after the return from Tommy John, he has not looked good so far.
Rooting for him because I'm sure you have a player or two that was on your TGF by winning team that you still have a soft spot for. Paddock was on mine, so I have a soft spot, but I'm not using him. I mean, you say is he a drop? He was a never roster for me.
Yeah,
so.
but probably the case in most leagues.
But yeah, no, he's a 0. And you know what? You mentioned it, the Tommy John. There's a chance that he's just still going through a getting ready phase, but I don't think so. I think it's been a while now. All right, whatever it is, a 24 hits in 14 innings and all those homers. There's some bad luck, but I'm sure there's some meatballs as well.
Yeah, home against the White Sox makes him a 1 for me, but I totally get a 0. But what about Pablo Lopez? He's a 5, I assume.
He's a 5. Yeah, I'm not even going to go 1. I'll use Paddock in DFS, but he'll be chalk. But
well, what about Jose Quintana at San Francisco then versus St. Louis? Not an exciting arm, but if you've lost an arm or two due to injury, maybe. But let me see. At San Francisco versus St. Louis, let me go 2 here on Quintana.
I'm gonna go 2. I don't think he shuts him out over 8 innings, but I don't think he gets blown out in 3 either.
Yeah, I think that's right for Quintana. Not a guy I love to pick up, but maybe. What about Carlos Rodon versus the Oakland A's? Then at Milwaukee, his numbers have kind of leveled out. Tough call on the lefty for me, but I think I'm going to go 3 on Carlos Rodon. What say you?
Yeah, he's flashed some of what the Yankees had hoped to be there, but then kind of went back. He's walking batters too. I'm going to go 3.
And what about Marcus Stroman? Same 2-step for him versus Oakland at Milwaukee. I think he's probably 3-2. Maybe if I had to put him, next to Rodon, I'd have Rodon slightly ahead, but I think Stroman's probably a 3-2.
You know what, Stroman? I mean, all right, he didn't in his last game, but he's got some strikeouts this year. I'm with you. I wanted to say 2, but I took a look at the numbers quickly, and I got to go 3.
JP Sears has got to go to the Bronx, then to Baltimore. So that's a really tough AL East 2-step for JP Sears. Same with Paul Blackburn, but Blackburn's been outstanding. Tip of the cap to you for being like the only fantasy analyst I know that was kind of in on Blackburn at the start of the season. Man, that's a tough 2-step. I think Blackburn's pitched well enough where I'll go with a 2. But Sears is only like a points league 1 for me.
Yeah, Blackburn's still not striking back. I'm not sure how in I was, although he did strike out a batter in an inning last year, which may have been my system recognized that as opposed to me. Sears is I'm gonna go against my kind of rule. I don't know that I drop Sears if I'm not starting him this week because I think there's something there, but this is just a tough 2-step. So I think I'm gonna go with 1 on Sears, but I'm gonna go 0. But I don't know that I would drop him.
Okay, and what did you say on Blackburn? 2?
I'm gonna go 2. I think it's gonna catch up to him if he doesn't pick up the strikeouts. I mean, Sears is strikeout only fan 9 and 22 innings. I think I've seen all 9 of the strikeouts though, because in my head, you know what I mean. It's just like I thought he was pitching better than that. Maybe I just saw the Texas game when he fanned 5 and 6 innings, and he's only got 1 and 2 in the other games, and I didn't catch those, which probably means I had some DFS writing on that or some prop bet writing on that game. That's why I remember watching it.
Well, Taijuan Walker scheduled to throw a bullpen session today, and then expected to come off the IL. So we have him penciled in for Monday at Cincinnati. Looks like Walker threw a 4 2/3 against Scranton Wilkes-Barre, his most recent timeout. But I need to see it. I don't feel good about throwing a guy like Taijuan Walker out in his return. He's got to go to Cincinnati. I think I'm going to go 0 on Taiwan until he gets going here a little bit.
I was, you're saying Taiwan Walker and this and that, and in my head I'm thinking Jamison Tyone. They're so. I think they're similar.
Tyone's back today, right?
He is. He's pitching well, and I'm a little.
Nice.
I don't say surprised. Curious to see how many innings he's able to go.
I picked him up in tout head-to-head last weekend. So
yeah, he wasn't able to go that far in his 2 minor league stints, so rehab stints. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Walker, I'm with you. I need to see it because he was not looking good towards the end of last year, and Sanchez is in great. Turnbull, and Suarez. I can see. I mean, I think Walker has to earn that spot because the Phillies aren't going 6-man, not with Wheeler and Nola, right? So
yeah, that's true.
And Sanchez looked really good too. I'm going to go 0. I wasn't high on Walker to begin with.
Yeah, he's a guy who will have good outings, but he'll also get blown up. So
yeah, James,
you're rolling the dice every single time out. Now, Jared Jones looking like maybe one of the breakout stars of the season so far, racking up tons of swing and misses, tons of whiffs. He's got to go. He's home against Milwaukee, then at San Francisco. 2 really good pitching venues. Is Jared Jones a 5 at this point?
He probably merits it. Whether it's more of a principle thing, right? Are you saving 5s for people that are established and have earned it? Or you know what? This guy's just been so dang good. I'm going to give him a 5. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to just do that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who have kind of, because he's missed so many bats and just looks so dominant, I've kind of, bumped him up. I think I have him just either just inside or just outside the top 100 now. And that, maybe conservative. I think if you're doing a draft from today through the end of the season, Jared Jones, might go like top 50.
He hasn't walked anybody in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
And he only walked 2 in his first. I mean, he's thrown 17 and a third innings without a walk. That's kind of good.
That's kind of good. Bailey Falter, I'm going to go 0. He's been okay. I think he had took a no-hitter deep into, not deep, but 6th inning the other day. I still can't trust him. I still think it's too early for me to be rolling a guy like Bailey Falter out there. So I'm going to go 0.
Yeah, I'm a little more optimistic pitching for the Pirates than I was for the Phillies, but I'm still going to go 0.
Now, Dylan Cease and Michael King, they both got to go to Coors. I'm kind of debating in my head whether that's going to knock them down. Then they're home against the Phillies. I think this is going to knock them down, but I think I'm going to have them both at 4.
Right. I think we're looking at that second one. And if it was a really bad team, it makes the decision easier. But it's the Phillies. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 4 as well. I'm one that Coors Field inflates runs 40%. I don't care how bad the lineup is. We're at the point where I do care how bad the lineup is. That's a terrible lineup.
Well, Logan Gilbert's got to face the defending champs in Texas, but then he's home against Arizona. I mean, Logan Gilbert is probably going to be a 5. I mean, he's kind of one of those, the one of the big 4 there I'm thinking about him and Miller versus Castillo and Kirby. Kirby and Castillo have struggled. Gilbert and Miller have been great. So I think Gilbert's probably going to be a 5.
Yeah, and I'm not all that concerned about the other guys. I think they'll all be where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm at about maybe a 2 out of 10 on Castillo, but I think I'll be fine. And Bryce Miller has been outstanding.
Yep.
He's been a great addition and a great fantasy asset at his cost if you grabbed him in drafts. What about Keaton Winn? He got his first win his last time out against the Marlins. It was kind of a pitcher's duel between him and Trevor Rogers, and Keaton Winn comes on top. So he'd been pitching okay before that. Not great, but he'd, much better than an 0-3 record. Now he's got that first win. pun intended. And I think for Keaton Winn, I'm going to go versus the Mets versus Pittsburgh. I think I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, I saw some stuff I liked from Winn last year, but then just as I went, hey, check out Keaton Winn, he was terrible, but it's still there. I'm going to go 3 as well. It wouldn't surprise me with those matchups if he even, if he picks a 4 quality, but I'm going to give him a 3. Gone 6 innings in 2 of the 4 starts. One of them wasn't a quality start. He gave up 4 runs, but I do like that he's getting some distance.
Lance Lynn's bouncing back so far this season after all those long balls last year. He's got to go, he's home against Arizona. Then he's got to go to Queens. Man, he's been pitching pretty well. This team, Goldie's looking old in a hurry. I don't know about this team, but they do play pretty good defense up the middle with, Mason Winn. And, they got Lars Nootbaar back versus Arizona at the Mets. I think I'm going to go 3 on Lance Lynn. Is that too high?
No, I think 3. One of the narrative was, is there a better place for Lynn to have landed than St. Louis? So, I mean, if that's what we're going to say, we can't be shocked that he's pitching better. I'm going to go 3.
And Zach Littell. Pretty crazy. I'd actually forgotten that he was on the Red Sox last year.
For a day or two.
Yeah. Not for long. But in that same division, then they DFA'd him.
Yeah.
Claimed by the Rays, and they've turned him into somehow a really good mid-rotation starter. 2.14 ERA versus Detroit. Then at the White Sox. I'm going to turn this one over to you to start. Zach Littell.
It's weird. He gave up 3 runs in his last outing, but I think he pitched better than he did in his first couple of starts. So I'm kind of back on him being, pretty decent. Detroit and the White Sox, that's a 4. Anytime you see the White Sox, it has to be a 5 for that start. And then you kind of, all right, home against Detroit's a 3. So I'll give him a 4. I think, Detroit's not, you know what? Detroit's pitching is producing better than we thought. The lineup still hasn't really kicked it in gear. Green and Torkelson and the buddies there.
They still got Javi Baez in that lineup, right?
Yeah, they do. But I don't think we're expecting Baez. I think we're taking that as gravy at this point.
You take that as a free square, basically.
Yeah, the lineup will get better. But I'm going 4 for Littell.
John Gray's been, capable. And
John Gray, yeah.
Not bad. He pitched a quality start his last time out. That was his first quality start of the year, but 16 Ks over his last 2 starts. So 16 to 4 K to walk over his last 11 innings. John Gray versus Seattle versus Cincinnati.
On paper, this is a high strikeout matchup, right? I think Seattle and Cincinnati's got some swing and miss. So I like this one.
I'm going to go 3, but it sounds like you may be higher.
I'm going 4. I like the strikeout potential without really looking. I know Seattle's striking out the most of anybody in the league. I think Cincinnati's up there. Maybe it's Ellie De La Cruz. I'm not sure about the rest of the team. And De La Cruz has cut back on the strikeouts. But I think there's some swing and miss on the Reds.
Definitely. Yusei Kikuchi's been outstanding so far for Toronto. He's got on the road against Kansas City, then home against the Dodgers. Yeah, you hate that. But
Ohtani could finally have that sushi party.
Oh, yeah. There were rumors that Kikuchi was throwing a big shindig with the deal that never came to pass. But I think I'm going to go 4 on Kikuchi, given the way he's pitched, even with the Dodgers due up.
4 and 5. Yeah, why not?
5 for Gausman?
Oh, yeah. It's going to take a lot more to get me off of a 5.
He's struggled, but he's looked more like himself lately.
Yeah.
And then Patrick Corbin. I mean, how is Patrick Corbin still getting trotted out there?
I don't know.
That's kind of sad at this point.
This is so stupid. I'm wondering if I don't play DFS. I mean, I don't play DPP. What I'm thinking about is taking a $1 GPP and every time Corbett is on the mound, using him as one of my pitchers, because out of 32 starts, he usually turns in 5 gems.
And you're going to be the
those 5,
only
I'm
person
gonna
who
crush. But will I cash up on those 5 to make up for the other 27? I'm only saying this half tongue in cheek. The fact that this is probably a viable strategy and GPPs is why I don't like to play them very much.
Well, it's going to be low rostership if you take him, because it's been so long that he's been like the worst pitcher in baseball for 3 years running.
But then out of blue, 7 strong with 8 strikeouts.
That's true.
Anyway,
very rarely, but it does still happen on occasion. All right, well, let's recap 2-star pitcher grades for next week, the week of April 22nd. I'm going to be gone next week, but looking forward to being back with you on May 3rd. All right, let's recap. 2-star pitcher grades. Brandon Pfaadt, 3. Ronaldo Lopez, I say 3. Todd, 4. Grayson Rodriguez, 5. Tanner Houck, I say 4. Todd, 5. Jordan Wicks, I say 1. Todd, 0. I feel not great about that 1 in retrospect. Hunter Green, 3. Andrew Abbott, 2. Excuse me. Ben Lively, 0. Austin Gomber, 0. Chris Flexen, 0. Tariq Skubal, 5. Brady Singer, 3. Michael Waka, I say 1. Todd, 2. Reed Detmers, 4. Ryan Weathers, I say 1. Todd, 0. Joe Ross, I say 0. Todd, 1. Wade Miley, I say 0. Todd, 1. Chris Paddock, I say 1. Todd, 0. Pablo Lopez, 5. Jose Quintana, 2. Carlos Rodon, 3. Marcus Stroman, 3. JP Sears, I say 1. Todd, 2. Paul Blackburn, 2. Taijuan Walker, 0. Jared Jones is a 5. Bailey Falter, 0. Dylan Cease, 4. Michael King, 4. Logan Gilbert, 5. Keaton Winn, 3. Lance Lynn, 3. Zach Littell, 4. John Gray, I say 3. Todd, 4. Yusei Kikuchi, 4. Kevin Gausman, 5. And Patrick Corbin, 0. Anything else on your mind today, Todd?
No. Let's get the weather warm. Let's get less rain, and let's get more baseball. No, things are going well. Happy that you're going to take some family time next week. We'll have a special guest that I'm working on. Not sure whose music will be playing. It won't be the Undertaker. It won't be the Shield. But we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, instead of the normal intro next week, you'll have to hit like "Sexy Boy" by Shawn Michaels or something. That's one of the great theme songs of all time. But awesome stuff. Always love talking with you, Todd. And just remember, baseball is incredibly hard, so maybe be patient with the Jackson Holidays of the world. I think it'll pan out in time. But yeah, thank you all for being with us. Good luck this weekend, and we'll catch you next week on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.